Black dignity. The South African government has created legislation to do a number of things. Most of the land that is our land, African land, black land, that we're tied to, from the Kimberley properties, the gold and the diamonds, the land where De Beers has, the lands that they've controlled for hundreds of years, have taken, while many of the blacks have suffered generation after generation after generation. And so now you have a South African government that wants to right the ship. And now you have a plan of action to take back what was not theirs. The indigenous population owned all that land. Now, what if they sought that all of the money that was made over the centuries, that money needs to be paid back as well? So not just the land, but the money that's associated with the land, because they've made money through the time that they've taken that property. And they refuse to leave. The university or the country of Australia has decided to give South Africans, this is white South Africans, land if they decide to move. Now, I hadn't heard them say anything, when I hadn't heard Australia say anything about the Aborigines given land. They hadn't said anything about black South Africans moving to Australia given land. The only characteristic that I heard was for the white South African who they believe is being persecuted. Not the white South Africans that have stolen land and made money and enjoyed a comfortable life, while the majority of the Africans in South Africa tied to the land have lived a life of suffrage, a life of doing without, a life of not being able to support themselves, to be able to send their kids to a high school, to a college. And so they've paid the price. And now it's time for the white South Africans to move aside, give back the land that you've stolen, and pay retroactively the monies that was made from the beginning, and give that money back to a fund for the people of South Africa. Because just having the land may not be good enough. So leave immediately. And so the Trump administration has sent a team to look at the transparency of the land repatriation process. And the Trump administration is asking for transparency. Now, how can you ask for transparency when you haven't released your tax document? How can you ask for transparency when we don't even know what's going on in terms of the Russia investigation? How can you ask for transparency when you haven't been transparent on anything? So lead by example and leave South Africa alone, because they have sovereignty. And it is within their right. And South Africa needs to have friends in the African Union that will be able to support. And I would also say to South Africa, as well as many of the other African countries, look at the contracts that you guys are making and the debt that you are giving to many of the Chinese businessmen and government officials, because you are giving the country away because you can't pay for the monies that was agreed to. And so let's look at better terms so that we don't give or waste away assets like airports, assets like the shipping channel, assets that we are a part of in the diaspora. And so as we look at the year of return, we need to make sure that we can return to something. Black dignity.